What is good, everybody? Welcome back to the Full Blitz Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Easy. With me today, forever and always, the digital guide, Louie. And of course, I told y'all it was going to happen. For the first time, we have our first guest appearance. We have a college expert, a beautiful mind in college football, my man, Kris Nero. What is going on, y'all?
How's it going?
How you doing, Louie?
I'm good, man. I'm chilling.
You good? You look like you kicked. Man, that California vibe gets me every time, man. Every time.
It's the sun. I think it's the sun, man. You know, it gives you a nice, relaxed vibe.
Hey, I like it. You know, just like we like y'all. What we do want y'all to do, though, is make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, follow us. You can catch us anywhere you get your podcast. And, of course, always make sure to go to TikTok and Instagram for your in-week updates. Y'all, I got to start this off, right? We're going to get into college football, but the first thing I have to start off with is why do y'all people think that y'all can continue to try these former athletes? Not just that, but why you as a college student, you ain't even a full-grown man yet, but you want to step to a 6'3", 260-pound center who is beloved in the city of Philadelphia where they beat up Santa Claus in the stands. And that's who you want to go after. If y'all don't know, Penn State student runs up to Jason Kelce, yells some kind of homophobic slur about his brother, which we already know the Kelces don't play about their family. Jason Kelce turns around, grabs the kid's phone, Gronk spikes it into the ground, and then when he goes to pick it up, the kid pushes Kelce. Kelce gets up and says, "Try that shit again." I don't know about y'all. I'm a big dude. If Jason Kelce looked at me and said, "Try that shit again," I'm good. I'm going to walk the other way. Okay? Just a PSA, y'all. Leave these people alone. Leave these football players in public alone, especially if they've been drinking. Just leave them alone. We're going to see here in a little bit, in a couple days, what happens when a normal person, like Jake Paul, messes with a real person, Mike Tyson. Okay, but that's neither here nor there. Just leave these people alone. That being,
I didn't even know that fight was good. Is that fight actually happening?
November 15th.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, the funeral of Jake Paul.
That's what I'm about to say. I mean, how old is Mike now?
So Mike is.
It doesn't matter.
I think he's 59, right?
He's
and Kris is right. I mean, Mike just put out a statement that said if he is even 10% of what he used to be, it's over. But I will give Jake Paul credit. Have either of y'all seen the rules, the official rules that came out a few days ago for the fight?
Nah.
Okay, so it is a sanctioned fight in the state of California. This is a real boxing match.
So it's sanctioned, so this going on
tells
the record.
You exactly, which tells you off the rip Mike Tyson's going to destroy, because Mike Tyson ain't living the rest of his life with a professional loss to Jake Paul.
What?
There is no headgear. There's 8-minute, 2-minute rounds. Knockouts are permitted. There was one more, but this is a real boxing match.
14-ounce gloves.
14-ounce gloves. There it was. Which I was surprised. I didn't think Jake Paul was going to agree to 14-ounce gloves.
Oh, man. I don't know how to feel about it.
I think it goes 45 seconds in the first round.
You know, Kris might be right. I didn't even think.
Oh, my
Look,
goodness.
I think the first right hook that lands, it's over. It's over. Like, we used to play the game, would you box Mike Tyson one round for $50 million? And everybody said no. But Jake Paul gonna find out. Jake Paul gonna find out. But okay, hold on. Are you?
Isn't he also like way longer than him? He got his way longer than him.
Way longer than who?
I'm talking about Tyson.
Bruh, did you see what Tyson did to people in his weight division?
Yeah. Listen, I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to, talk about it. I don't know. That's what people are saying. They're
go look at some of them videos.
Down,
nah, hell, there ain't no breaking this. I don't give a damn if Jake Paul is the Indian dude from Street Fighter back in the day where his fist can, like, it ain't happening.
Stretch.
Yeah,
I tried it.
It's
for a
not
second.
happening. I think the only way Jake Paul wins this fight if Tyson falls asleep in the back and doesn't show up. That's
You
that's
know
it.
he gonna show up. Woo.
Well, look, the reason we got a
Interesting
guest,
to see.
we are getting into college football. I've known Kris for some time now, just so y'all know. Kris is probably one of the most intelligent people when it comes to college football that I know, not just in opinion-based, but in actually knowing information and stats and things like that. So that is why he is here. Kris, thank
Hey,
you
put a
and
lot of
welcome to
pressure
the
on me.
show.
Thank you for having me. You're putting a
Of
lot
course.
of pressure on me.
No, never that, man. I wouldn't put you in a pressure situation.
I'm just an everyday guy who likes football.
I like it. So when we're looking at college football, how do you feel about the state of college football as it sits today with the 12-team playoff?
The state of college football, in my opinion, it's becoming the NFL minor league.
I'm not mad
It
at that.
Used to be college was town centric, where city centric, wherever you were from. If you had a major college program, you were all for that team. And it still is that way, but it's getting harder because you're only rooting for players 1 year, and then they're bouncing to go see where they can get their next paycheck.
And you're saying that pretty much because of what NIL and
Yeah,
just the
NIL,
opening.
transfer portal. I do like the 12-team playoff.
How do you think we fix? I don't think we can fix NIL right now,
No.
but how do you think we fix the transfer portal? Like, do you think we should put a limit on how many times a kid can transfer?
Yeah. I think we go back the way it used to be. They would let you transfer one time, and then that be it. Unless your coach, the coach that recruited you, gets fired, then you should be allowed to transfer again. But if you sign a letter, which I think they just did away with the national,
They might as well.
I think they did away with that. But if you say, I'm going to go play here, and the only reason you want to transfer is because you're not getting playing time, sorry, buddy.
Now, how do
Play
you
better.
feel?
Practice
How do you
better.
feel about the two players we saw? We saw I believe it was a linebacker from Washington, and me and you have talked previously about the quarterback from UNLV who just kind of bounced on their teams because they were given these empty NIL deal promises from coaches that didn't have the authority, so they wind up just transferring out. Where do you think that puts the state, especially with there's so much confusion with NIL?
I think if you're a player and a coach is offering you money to come play for their school, get it in writing.
Unless you're Ohio State.
Anytime you go, get it in writing.
I like that. I do think everything should be in writing. Now I will say I've been a massive fan of what NIL has done, because NIL I think has made teams that weren't previously competitive ultra competitive. One of the teams we're going to talk about, from the SEC, and I think it kind of, in a way, it evened the playing field. It took.
I am 100% on board with players getting paid. I mean, the colleges are making hundreds of millions off these players. So I do believe the players should get a piece of that. I don't think they should be able to transfer anytime they want because another school offers them a higher paycheck.
Yeah,
I think
I'm with you there. It's
once you sign on that you're going to play for this team, unless your coach gets fired or you graduate, then you stay at that school. You show some loyalty and what's the word I'm thinking about?
commitment.
Commitment. That's it.
I'm with that, right? I'm with the commitment. I'm with honoring your your word when you sign. I would say the one, I guess, caveat to that would be JUCO, Division two. Because we saw a lot of kids. I should have pulled some names, but we saw a lot of kids transfer from JUCO school to. I mean, when you look at it, Hill, Miami, quarterback. Geez, why is his name not wanting to come to me? Tyreek Hill started at JUCO school. Travis Kelce, because of issues he had, started at a Division two school. So
I'm all for being able to go up in divisions. Like if you go to a JUCO and you want to transfer into a big school, cool.
So you're for the progression,
Yes.
of a transfer.
Because if you think about it, college players have more say in where they play than NFL players do.
I mean, yeah,
NFL players can't NFL players can't say, "Well, I don't want to play for this team. I'm not getting playing time. I'm going to see what other." They're locked into a contract.
that's true.
So
And
these
I think
college
that's
players have a lot more freedom on deciding where they play than even NFL players do.
absolutely. And I think that's a good point that, you have college kids having more of a say in their, collegiate career than NFL players do have in their pro career. And it's not, I think too, we should look at the fact that these schools are basing their scholarship offers to other players and things like that off of who's on their team. You go and offer a kid a scholarship, the kid you got starting in that position doesn't like it, so he bounces. I do think we need to do away with that. Maybe only allow progression transfers. JUCO to Division two, Division two to Division one, and then once you're in Division one, unless you're coming from like Mountain West or the WAC or the American, and you're transferring into the SEC, the ACC. But SEC to SEC, ACC to ACC, yeah, I'm with you. I think we should get rid of that altogether. But you're in favor of the 12-team playoff, right?
Absolutely.
Now,
Everybody loves the underdog, so I think that the best group of 5 teams should have a shot at it, because you never know. You may have one of those years that Boise State runs the table, and they would have never gotten an opportunity in the past.
I mean, I'm with you. I mean, one, primarily because,
Yeah.
who knows? Army could. Hey, look, I've said it a few times. Could we see Army in the playoffs?
They're, I think, 15th right now. They got to hope for a Boise loss.
Boise, I think you're right. I think Boise does need to lose. I don't think Army's strength of schedule is enough undefeated to jump them over Boise to give them that last Power 5, automatic bid. But
yeah,
look, who knows? The games keep going the way they're going. I mean, we have 3 games now. We have the big one that both of us, as an LSU fan and an Alabama fan, we're looking at that one. Or what is it? High Tide? Is it High Tide?
No.
So
we don't claim him.
You don't claim that one. One of the ones that me and you were briefly talked about right before we got on was Miami versus Georgia Tech. And that game to me is pretty interesting, because when you look at the way Miami's played leading up to this game, and the fact that Georgia Tech's defense can get really stingy with points, I think it's possible that Miami, if they go out with that slow start like they did against Louisville, like they did last week, if they go out with that slow start, Georgia Tech could wind up giving Cam Ward his first loss, and kind of really mess up the rankings there in the ACC.
Yeah, I mean, historically, Miami struggles with Georgia Tech anyways, but I just think this Miami team this year is different. yeah, they get off to slow starts, but Cam Ward is a beast in the second half of these games.
Do you
And
think
I would
do you think Cam Ward's the best quarterback prospect in the country?
right now, yeah. I
I
mean,
ain't,
I
I'm
think
not mad at that.
he's got 7 or 8 games of 300 yards passing or more. I mean, he's mobile. Auburn wishes they would have got the money out for him when they had the chance, but
Right? I mean, he's big. You know, he I don't know if you have this comparison, right? But when I look at him, for whatever reason, I see a lot of Dante Culpepper. Just a very big, a very like linebacker looking quarterback that has a cannon of an arm, but struggles at time with the underneath routes, struggles at time with accuracy. And the good thing with him is the one thing he doesn't struggle with, like you pointed to, you can't rattle this kid. He doesn't get nervous, he doesn't get shaken, he just keeps balling.
and I was looking back at Georgia Tech's schedule this year, their biggest win is Florida State. And we know where Florida State is.
It's yeah, and that was what, week 1? That was week 1,
That was
right?
week one.
Or week
We all
0.
thought, oh yeah, week zero. We all thought that that was such a great win for Georgia Tech, and
Womp womp womp.
now we see where Florida State is, and it's really not that good of a win.
So we both like Miami in that game.
Oh yeah,
Okay. All right. I like Miami, but I definitely have
it
Miami
might
on
be
upset alert.
it might be interesting for the first half.
But you think
Like
they do
I
the
could see
Kane thing.
halftime. I could see halftime being something like 10-7 or 10-10, and then in the second half, Miami pulls away and wins by double digits.
I mean, I'm not mad at that. So, how do you feel about Georgia and Ole Miss? Because to me, that's probably the second most important game played in the SEC this week.
Yeah. I haven't made up my mind which way I'm going yet. Um, I want to lean Ole Miss just because they've got a really good defense. Carson Beck has been a turnover machine the last 3 weeks,
And it's in Oxford. This game,
and
this
it's
game, it is
Oxford,
it is in Oxford.
and Jackson Dart is starting to light it up. I mean, he had 500 some yards last week.
I'd say him and what was the wide receiver had 5 receptions, 5 touchdowns for like
Watkins, I think his
245
name's
yards.
Watkins.
That's
Yeah,
ridiculous. And
but I don't know that offense will be able to do it against Georgia's defense. I mean, Georgia's defense is nasty, so
yeah, but I mean, this could be one of those times where your offense, Georgia's offense, becomes the problem because Ole Miss's defense isn't any slouch.
no,
And
I mean,
you throw 3 interceptions against Ole Miss like he's done the last 2 games in a row. He's thrown three
yeah,
interceptions.
got
You
like 11 interceptions all year,
Yeah,
which is
you do that
crazy.
against Ole Miss and you're gonna lose. You give Dart that many extra, possessions, you're gonna lose.
Problem is, Lane Kiffin has been known to crap the bed in these big games.
Oh well, I'm gonna get to talk about that a lot on this next game that we're gonna reference. But
Yo, I know where you're going.
so who do you have right now? If you had to put money on it right now, Georgia, Ole Miss, who you
I
going
would,
with?
I would, if I had to pick right now, it'd probably be Georgia by a field goal.
Georgia by a field goal.
Hmm
Okay, so
But
there it is,
that's
y'all.
like putting gun to my head right now.
Right
I
now.
want Ole Miss to win. My heart says Ole Miss
So I'm going
to
Ole
give
Miss.
Georgia that second to give Georgia that second loss. I want Ole Miss to win, but I just don't see Jackson Dart being able to do what he did last week against this Georgia defense. I mean, look what Kentucky did
I,
against Ole Miss.
that's true. But look at what
So
Kentucky just did to Tennessee. You know, Kentucky almost pulled out a win against Tennessee, played them real tough all the way to the fourth quarter.
So I'm gonna take Georgia by a field goal.
I'm taking Ole Miss by 10.
Pray to God you're right.
I'm taking Ole Miss by double digits. I think Dart has got his groove back. I think Beck his confidence is shaken. I think Georgia is not running the ball as well as they want to, and to try to run against that Ole Miss front is going to be difficult. I think it's close. I think it's a one possession game leading into the fourth quarter, but I think Ole Miss takes it by 10. Now,
I would be no happier if they do.
Now, the game, which I think is the game of the week, not just because it's us or anything like that. I think this is the game of the week because this is the game that I think probably sets the precedence for the SEC the rest of the season moving forward.
It's an elimination game. The loser of this game has no chance of making the playoffs.
It is. Alabama, LSU, go Tigers over here.
Yeah,
you know,
Roll Tide.
we know where you are.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at this game and you look at just the atmosphere of what Alabama LSU is. LSU luckily got the home game. Now, I say luckily knowing that I think Alabama's beat LSU at home, 4 of the last 5 or something like that?
Yeah, it used to be the road team always won this game.
So, and I do think it's at night, which is a big plus because Death Valley at night is crazy. But instead of starting with the positives, I got to point out the negatives with this LSU team. And I'm going to get to Brian Kelly in a second, but this team plays brilliantly in the first half. And then they go into the locker room and they completely forget that they have another 30 minutes of football that they have to play. They completely change their offensive scheme. They change the way that they run their defense. They're not as blitz heavy. You know, they rush 3, rush 4, drop back into these zone coverages. And when we watched the game against Texas A&M, it was a completely different team from the first half to the second half. You know, Nussmeier, I think, forgot that he was throwing to the people in the white jerseys. And it was just a complete and utter crumble of a team that had the chance to take their walk to the playoffs in their own hands. And they just, threw it away, which for me leads to coaching and Brian Kelly. And I've said it a few times on the show, and I'll continue to say it as long as he's LSU's coach. Until he wins the big game, this will be his legacy. He couldn't get it done at Notre Dame, and he hasn't been able to get it done here. And now we're going against an Alabama team, which probably has the third best running quarterback in the country, in D1, third or fourth. I mean, Milroe can just torch you with his feet.
He's a lot bigger than the A&M quarterback that ran all over LSU. So,
and then to have the excuse as a head coach to say, "Oh, we weren't prepared for that quarterback." That is the most unprofessional, ignorant statement to make as a college coach.
Because as long as you know that quarterback is on that roster, you should spend at least 10 minutes preparing for the off chance that he gets in the game.
Something. So when you look at your Crimson Tide, right? When you look at your Bama team, where do you think they can be hurt the most against LSU?
Our DBs are still young, so the downfield throws are still a problem. And our inability for most of this season to not be able to get off the field on third down. In that first game against Western Kentucky, they had a 20-play drive. 20 plays. We
Against
could
Western
not.
Kentucky.
Not, yeah, and it's Western Kentucky. Now, luckily, we held them to a field goal, so we had, I guess, that bend, don't break mentality. But getting off the field on third down, it bit us against Tennessee. It bit us against Vanderbilt, which I don't even want to talk about Vanderbilt.
Oh, we gonna talk about
happy,
Vanderbilt.
happy for Vanderbilt for beating Auburn, but that's been our biggest issue is not getting off the field on third down. We let we let teams extend drives, and our defense gets gassed by the end of the game.
Do you think with the fact that the DBs are younger, the offensive line, in my opinion, has kind of been really inconsistent for Alabama this year? There have been times where Milroe is just running for his life, and then there's times where he's got enough time to sit back there and have a 30-minute lunch break. Knowing that LSU consistently has a front four that when play calls are proper, they can get after it. How do you think that the trenches, are going to play a factor? Do you think the game's going to be won with DBs, or do you think it's going to come down to who wins the line of scrimmage?
Oh, it's definitely going to be line of scrimmage. Any game in the SEC always comes down to offensive line versus defensive line, and whoever wins that battle wins the game. I think our play calling the last few weeks has been lacking. They're not running Milroe as much. They're wanting him to be a pocket passer, and I get it. A lot of teams prepare for him to run, but he has a God-given talent to run people over.
Absolutely.
Let him do it.
Now, do you think they watch, or do you think the Alabama coaching staff is going to have the wherewithal to say, hey, this has been an Achilles heels of the LSU Tiger defense is being able to stop the mobile quarterback? Because LSU hasn't been able to stop a mobile quarterback at all this year.
Yeah.
I mean, at all.
And if you go back and look at it, at last year, the game that turned our season around last year, it was the LSU game. When we finally started letting Milroe run the ball, that's what turned our season around last year.
I'm scared to death of that.
Started in the LSU game last year. So hopefully we go back and look at that video and say, this seemed to work last year. They're having issues with it still this year. Let's run Milroe a little bit more this game.
So,
and
obviously
that'll open up the passing game.
Absolutely. Them DBs start to creep up. Them linebackers start to creep up. You start to see 7-8 player boxes, and
maybe we can get a Tebow jump pass from Milroe.
Hey, and it's not like Milroe can't throw the ball. I mean, Alabama is one of those teams where, and me and you have talked about this, previously, where I said that I was going to be interested to see the way Alabama responded to controversy without Nick Saban. This is the first time since, I think, 2015 or 2007 or something like that they've lost 2 games, before the playoffs.
2007.
So, and I think a lot of that had to do with the culture that was brought by Nick Saban, the other coaches that he had around him. I mean, when you look at it, it's his coaching tree is scattered throughout college football and the pros.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin, Sarkisian, and that's just 2 right off the top. Where do you see this game going? How do you see this game ending?
It's going to start out as a defensive battle. I think both teams have really good defenses, but in my opinion, I think we let Milroe run the ball like we've done in the past, which opens up the downfield throws, and maybe hopefully he's practiced a little bit because he's normally Milrow has a spot on deep ball. Like he has one of the best deep balls. The last couple weeks he's been kind of off. I think if we just let him get back to being the player he is, the dual threat, running the ball when he needs to, and then just dropping dimes downfield, I think Alabama should win this, and they should win it comfortably.
So surprisingly, me and you are in agreement. I love my Tigers, but the one thing I always hang my hat on is that I'm a realist. I do not say that we are great when we are not. I do not say we are good when we are not. We are a mediocre football team. The LSU Tigers are a mediocre football team. Now, when they play 4 full quarters of football, they're one of the best teams in the country. Problem is, I think they've done that twice or 3 times this year. They've gotten away with, the South Carolina game. South Carolina's starting quarterback goes out. So able to get the win there, and that could have easily been a loss. Now, the Arkansas game, that was an example of 4 quarters of football. If Brian Kelly has his team prepared like he should, I think with the atmosphere, I think with the fact that Nussmeier has been one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the country this year. I mean, you take out the Texas A&M game,
Take out that second half of A&M,
and he's been phenomenal. I think the running game, we need to focus on the running game, and then our discipline penalties have been wrecking LSU. I mean, and untimely pass interferences on 3rd and 14. Contact to the quarterback's helmet. Just these penalties are wrecking. So I want my team to win.
The same for Alabama too. They've been this year.
Yeah,
They've been very undisciplined and penalties, but that also started last year. Saban's last year was a very penalty ridden season for us.
Yeah, it's very uncharacteristic to see Alabama make those kind of mistakes and to really hurt themselves in those situations. I want LSU to win. I do. I want LSU to win so bad. But I have to go with what I'm seeing and not what I'm feeling. I think Alabama wins. I don't think it's a double-digit win, but I do think it's a win. So that it hurts.
I'm sorry.
I
know it does. But
I have to be truthful though, right? I can't come on here and lie. Like
I'm the same way about Alabama. I'm not delusional. We're not. We
So-
are probably the fourth or fifth best team in the SEC.
yeah, that's probably right because Texas is better, Georgia is better. I think Alabama is better, and that's where it starts to get, because Tennessee is iffy, but Tennessee's probably better. So that's, now granted we beat Ole Miss, but that was a crazy game overtime. So Ole Miss may even be better. Another team that might be better that me and you have talked about in extensive conversations because it's just been wild to both of us. And I got to clap for him. I mean, it just Vanderbilt.
You get to make that trip to Nashville too.
Yeah, we still got to go to Nashville, and you have it on one of your notes, and I 100% agree with you on the fact that Vanderbilt is the biggest surprise. I don't just think in the SEC. I think in college football, and that's including Army, and that's including one of the other teams the team that we're going to talk about right after Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt season that they're having, first time they're bowl eligible in forever. And they're not just bowl eligible, but they're in the conversation of, hey, is this a team we got to look out for next year? Is
I mean, if Clark Lee can get another quarterback like Pavio, uh,
I
I think he's got the ship going in the right direction.
hey man, and that's and I mean for Nashville, that's great because them bums behind me, just can't seem. I mean, they won yesterday, but
I
or
was gonna say y'all won yesterday,
Sunday, but they
so
can't seem to get anything right. We
that
did,
that
and I
puts
was
you in.
and
Hey, y'all won yesterday, and it puts you in like a three-way tie for worst teams in the NFL. So nice.
yay! But no, Vanderbilt and Nashville having football to that good football that they can go watch and that they can go support is probably awesome. Vanderbilt has been known as a baseball team or baseball school for a long time. They're known as an academic school. They put out some of the best, academics, and I believe it's medical. I think it's a medical school, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just super happy for Vanderbilt, and they're just like their students. Everybody just seems so stoked to have a team. Where would you put the season Vandy's having this year up against maybe some of the other Cinderella type teams we've had over the last, let's say, 10 years?
10 years. I mean, to me, I would put it along the lines of the year that Boise beat Oklahoma.
Ooh, and what was it, the Fiesta Bowl
Yeah,
with the trick play?
it's that type of season for them,
I I agree with you.
and they're not done winning. I personally think they're going to win this weekend against South Carolina, and they could possibly beat y'all.
So where do you put them? If they beat South Carolina, right? We're not gonna talk about us yet. Let's see what happens with the Alabama game. They beat South Carolina. Where do you put them in the SEC?
I mean, they would they're still a three-loss team, so that they still have three losses. One of them is a really bad loss to Georgia Southern or Georgia State. Um, so they would be you you can't put them ahead of any of the two-loss teams.
I agree.
So they would probably be sixth, fifth, sixth.
So you're with me. We definitely have them. If they beat South Carolina, we got them above Kentucky, above Arkansas, above South
Oh God, yes,
Carolina. Okay.
absolutely.
All right. So the other team, because we're not gonna hang on to you all night. The other team you sent me, and I think this is a team a lot of people are surprised on, and that was who'd you have else as a surprise?
Indiana.
Indiana,
Indiana, my Hoosiers.
the
I'm
Hoosiers.
originally, I was born in Indiana. I lived there for a few years when I was a kid before my mom got stationed in Japan. So I've always they're kind of like my step team, my little
So
redheaded stepchild team.
do you think Indiana can run the table and make it into the playoffs?
I don't think they're going to run the table, but I do believe they make the playoffs because I think they're going to play Ohio State twice.
You think so? You think it's going to be Ohio State, Indiana in the
I'm sorry.
championship?
No. Oregon's going to make the
That's what I was
championship.
going to say. Well, we just throwing Oregon to the side? Like what?
Yeah. I forget Oregon's in the Big Ten. I'm sorry.
Well, they're new. They're new to the Big Ten. So
But
you don't think Indiana's got a shot to beat Ohio State?
I think they
Penn
have a
State.
shot. They don't play Penn State this year. So they play Michigan this week, and they're just going to absolutely dog walk Michigan.
I think they're going to trounce Michigan.
Indiana hasn't won a game by less than 13 points.
And
Now,
that's
they haven't had the toughest schedule. Like, I would say Ohio State's probably going to be the toughest team they play the entire year.
how do you think that game gets out of hand, or do you think Indiana keeps it close?
Oh, Indiana will keep it close. I mean, even when Indiana was bad, they would keep it close.
Hey man, hey,
So
Indiana's been a surprise.
they
I,
they have a they have a shot at Ohio State.
so before we let you get out of here, always got to ask when you talk about college, who are your Heisman front runners right now? If the Heisman was given out tomorrow, who do you have as your two front runners?
For me, it's Cam Ward at Miami. I mean, they're undefeated. Yeah, they've had some close games, but when you're trying to have a championship season and a Heisman season, you have those close games. You have those situations you're put in where you step up, and he has. I think he had like 5 or 6 games where he's thrown over 300 yards.
Yeah, I mean
So
he's
he's
I mean
number
he's
one,
absolutely.
and it took a while, but I'm coming around on Travis Hunter. I mean, anybody who plays both sides of the ball, plays that many plays, and is being an impact player, he's got to be in the conversation.
I hear you with Cam Ward. I hear you with Travis Hunter. I definitely think Sanders needs to be in the conversation. But in my opinion, when you talk about a player that is just doing things that is unreal, I don't care what team you play for. Ashton Genty. So one of the players, the running back from Boise State, killing every statistic that Derrick Henry had the year he won his Heisman, last running back to win a Heisman. 20 touchdowns, over 1,500 yards, 190 carries. He's averaging 8 yards a carry. That's insane. And we still have games to go. I get that he's not at a fancy school. I get that he doesn't play in the SEC. But voters, Heisman voters, we have to vote the best season. He is having the best season. I mean, come on. I get you want to go with the pretty pick, Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Sanders. I get it, but this kid is killing it. We gotta do that.
I agree. He's having a really good season against really bad teams.
That's, I mean, I get it. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
The Heisman is the best player in America. Would he have those same stats if he were at a bigger school? I don't think so. He might, but I don't think so. The stats that he's overcoming from Derrick Henry did it against the elite players in the country. This guy's not playing against the most elite players in the country. I get it. He's having the best season for a running back. But you got to do it on the big stage at the big schools.
I'm not mad at that. If that's what we're gonna do, right? If that's what we're gonna look at and say this is what we have to do, then we can just stop and give Travis Hunter the Heisman right now. Right now. He plays both sides of the ball.
But the Heisman has also become the best quarterback on the best team award.
That's true.
It stopped being the best player award a long time ago.
I agree. Well, my man, Kris, I appreciate you so much for being the first guest here on the Full Blitz podcast. We are definitely going to have you back when we get closer and into the playoffs. My man, thank you so much for being the first guest on the show.
No problem. Anytime. Thank you.
Have a good night, man. Getting into the next segment, this was something that I had noticed over last year and into this year that I really wanted to talk about because I find it funny that we're seeing this trend, and the trend is teams in the NFL not giving young quarterbacks enough time to develop. And when you look at some of the success from guys that are in the league now, guys that have retired, guys that are in the Hall of Fame, and the way that they were developed through coaching, through where they sat on the depth chart, it has changed. And there's so many areas where this is true. You have Anthony Richardson on the bench. Now I get it. He had the tap out where he, wanted to come out of the game, had the interview, said that he was tired. You really can't do that as a player, much less a quarterback in the NFL. I think it was a 3rd and goal situation. So although I understand that, the team has come out and said that this is not a temporary move. Joe Flacco is their quarterback moving forward. You also see Bryce Young. Now, Bryce Young has played again. He played yesterday. He started yesterday, got the win for Carolina. So we're going to see what happens there. But it was just this quick. I mean, not quick. They gave him time, but maybe we need to start looking at the fact that these young guys coming out need to stop being put in a starting position so soon, right? Because Bryce Young's not the only one. You have Trey Lance, which has just been a crazy situation. You had the 49ers trading, to move up to get him. Then they trade him to Dallas. I mean, that's craziness there. Then you have Justin Fields, who played well in Pittsburgh, played well the end of his time in Chicago, and benched for Russell Wilson. You got Will Levis, who, again, as a Titans fan, I understand that, we want to see what we have, but he's not ready. So I don't think Will Levis should have been the starter. I don't think he should have been named the starter. We also have Zach Wilson, another young quarterback, Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett. The list goes on of these young guys who were drafted and were forced into these starting spots where when you look at things, right, when you look at guys that haven't started right away, second-year starters, right, they sat an entire year. You have Carson Palmer, Michael Vick, Patrick Mahomes, Drew Brees, Tom Brady. One of those guys is the GOAT. The other one, well, obviously that's Tom Brady. The other one, Drew Brees, one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. Patrick Mahomes is doing Patrick Mahomes things, got his team undefeated and playing well. Michael Vick, in my opinion, even with, Lamar Jackson, is the best dual threat quarterback in the history of the NFL. And then you have Carson Palmer. Everybody's like, oh, Carson Palmer. No, he tore it up in Cincinnati. Okay. 3rd-year guys, Phillip Rivers, Tony Romo. 4th-year guys, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Jordan Love, Steve Young. All of these quarterbacks are phenomenal quarterbacks, and they didn't play right away. I think we have to look at this. I think it's a developmental problem. I think coaches are struggling to develop these young quarterbacks because I think they want these quarterbacks to play within their system versus building a system around the player. Look at 2 guys this year that are having phenomenal years that struggled early in their careers, which are Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Okay. I think that people need to start understanding that these quarterbacks have got to develop. You got to give them time. Playing quarterback, it's said wildly that playing quarterback in the NFL is the hardest professional spot to play. Okay. Why don't you, what makes you think these people are going to be able to jump right in? Not everybody is a CJ Stroud. Not everybody is a Lamar Jackson. Okay. You have to give these guys time. When you look at some of these quarterbacks, Drew Brees, drafted to San Diego. Okay. Now the LA Chargers. Didn't start right away. Came in, even had the injury, got shipped to New Orleans and wound up becoming a Hall of Famer. Okay. Tom Brady, again. Michael Vick, again. I mean, just this list goes on and on. Phillip Rivers, ridiculous starter for the San Diego Chargers, now the LA Chargers. Tony Romo, I understand he didn't win a Super Bowl, and I understand he had woes in the playoffs, but Tony Romo was a phenomenal quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Aaron Rodgers, we all know what he did in Green Bay. Kirk Cousins, say what you want. The dude balls. Everywhere he plays, he balls out. Jordan Love, going through some injury issues right now, but balling out. Steve Young, yeah, what do you know? Just one of the greats of all time, another Hall of Famer. Give these guys time. I mean, it's like, and you like what they're doing in Indy with Anthony Richardson. You're killing his confidence. You're taking everything that kid builds and you just say, how about you take him, pull him aside, teach him, hey man, you can't do that. You can't tap out of a game. Okay. You have Mac Jones, who played behind a horrible offensive line. Now he's in Jacksonville playing behind Trevor Lawrence, who's having a ridiculously bad season. He has a good game here or there, but I said it before, his numbers were no better than Gardner Minshew's, but what are you going to do? I think the coaches need to take more responsibility for the failure of these quarterbacks. You can't tell me all of those quarterbacks that I named in the beginning were as good as they were in college and were good enough to get drafted in the spots that they got drafted, because all of them were top 5 picks, I think. Maybe Kenny, I don't remember where Kenny Pickett was drafted. But they were all, first round draft picks, I believe. So maybe you as a coach should take some responsibility. I'm just saying. Maybe as a coach, step up and say, hey, we failed this kid. We didn't give him any weapons. He didn't have an offensive line. We as a team, as an organization, need to do better and stand behind our player. That's all I'm saying. Okay? That was something that I needed to get off my chest. So there it is. Just do better. Yeah, just do better. Some of the games from the NFL that I wanted to touch on were 4 or 5 that I really kind of wanted to get into and talk about, because I think it's funny the way these games went. The first one was the Jets taking on Houston. Surprised the hell out of me that the Jets beat Houston. I think the Jets are a dumpster fire, even with the Houston win, because you beat a Houston team without Stephon Diggs, without Nico Collins. I mean, that's 2 weapons that you can't just replace. And I still don't think the Jets are somebody to be feared or somebody to be worried about. And you have all these other media outlets talking about, oh, well, the Jets won, so they're back in it. Back in what? What are they back in? Buffalo's winning that division, and the Jets ain't making the playoffs. What are they back in? Y'all sit here and say all of this stuff about, oh, they're coming back in, or, they got that win. And I get it. You say just a win. Cool, but they're not. The Jets are done. That's why I wanted to talk about this game, so I could tell y'all the Jets are done. Stop talking about them. Stop talking about the Cowboys, too. I'm so tired of hearing about the Cowboys. The Cowboys are trash, but yet every media outlet wants to continue to talk about them, and it's just mind-boggling to me why we want to keep talking about them. A team that we're going to talk about here on the show, because my team, is the Tennessee Titans. We actually got a win. We had to go into overtime because we allowed Drake May to run around in circles for 35 seconds before he threw the ball across the field to a open receiver in the end zone. Don't know how that happens, but it's cool. But we did get the win, 20-17. Pollard looks great. As good as Derrick Henry is doing, which I will touch on later, I'm super stoked with Tony Pollard. I think Pollard has been a fantastic add to the team. I think he can do everything that needs to be done in Brian Callahan's offense. And I think that he is that running back that when he's in, you don't know if it's going to be a pass or a throw. So super stoked that Tony Pollard is on our team. I'm also super stoked that Tennessee's defense showed up. 3 turnovers, showed why they are the number one defense in the NFL. I mean, that defense is just phenomenal with the way Jeffrey Simmons and Sweat and Arden Key and Gibbons, they all get after it. I mean, Gibbons came up and cracked one of the Pats running backs. I mean, I love the way that they play. I don't love the loss of Quadron Diggs. He is out with a foot injury for the year. That is a massive loss to us. But Amani Hooker steps up, gets 2 interceptions, 1 to seal the game, which was great. I love to see Amani Hooker playing well. I love to see those DBs playing well. I'm looking forward to getting L'Jarius Sneed back. We need that now with Diggs gone. But that defense is just phenomenal. They're the number 1 defense for a reason. You can say they're garbage. You can say the team is trash. But statistically, the Titans are the best defense in the NFL. What I think the team needs is we really need a right tackle because that has been the biggest problem of our offensive line. The left side of our line with Latham and Skoronski looks phenomenal. We need a right tackle. But again, every year, this is the story for us. We are hit with a massive injury to our offensive line. Cushenberry goes down with an Achilles injury. He is gone for the year as well. So things went from bad to worse for the Tennessee Titans. It sucks as a fan, but you know something? I ride with them. I, commented on this group that I'm on, and everybody was talking about how we should tank and this and that. If you are a true fan of your team, you never want your team to tank. Okay, you never want your team to lose games on purpose. You want to see fight in your guys. You want to see the drive and the will to win. I don't ever want to hear about my team tanking, especially because there is nobody coming out of the draft, in my opinion, that is worth purposely losing games. I get Cam Ward is fantastic. I get Sanders is good. I get Hunter is good. But in my opinion, there is no quarterback coming out this year that is worth the number 1 overall draft pick. I don't. I think they all have work that needs to get done, and I don't think they're worth a number 1 overall draft pick. I think we need to get the right tackle position figured out. That way, when we do draft a quarterback that's going to be our franchise guy, he can stand up, play the game, and make throws. That's just where I'm at, okay? That's how I feel about my Titans. A team that I think everybody's continued to be just marveled by is the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels is the truth, okay? Jaden Daniels is playing like an MVP. Now, I get Lamar Jackson is playing like an MVP, but Jaden Daniels is 100% the Rookie of the Year. I've said that 100 times so far. I will say it 100 more. Jaden Daniels, what he's doing with that team, the confidence that they're playing with, the swag that the fans have, just the energy that is around that organization after it was just doom and gloom for all those years is phenomenal. I mean, it is so exciting to be around football when you have organizations like that with rookie quarterbacks that are just tearing it up. He knows how to read defenses. He knows how to read coverages. He has, I've said it before and I'll say it again, he has one of the best deep balls, not just for a rookie, but a quarterback in the NFL. He's phenomenal. I love watching him play. I find myself switching over to the Commanders games every Sunday. And for me, to get a divisional win against the Giants is massive. And I think they're 7-2 now. They're one of the best teams in the NFL. They're damn sure one of the best teams in the NFC. And in my opinion, I know Philly's been on a little bit of a tear, but I think Washington is the best team in the NFC East. Go argue with your mama. I don't care. You want to argue with me? Argue with me in the comments. That's where you can fight with me because I'll type back. Okay. Jaden Daniels, Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think he finishes second in MVP voting. I don't care what they say about Patrick Mahomes. Okay. Jaden Daniels is having a much better season than Patrick Mahomes. The last game that I really kind of want to touch on, and get into more detail is the Lions game against Green Bay, because I know they only had a 10-point win, but they won that game. They manhandled Green Bay all game. The Lions, I get the Chiefs are undefeated, and I get they're, on their way to win tonight on Monday Night Football against Tampa. But I think the Lions are the best team in the NFL. They run the ball with Montgomery and Gibbs, Amon St. Brown. I mean, they got Laporta, the tight end. Swell, the right tackle, is probably one of the best right tackles, if not the best right tackle in the NFL. Jared Goff is playing on an MVP level. And then you thought the loss of Henderson was going to hurt. And you don't really see the drop off. That defense is still getting after the quarterback. That defense is still getting pressure with 4. The Lions are just the Lions are on another level. And if you don't think so, I don't know what to tell you. Dan Campbell is one of those coaches that has his players ready to run through a wall for him, and they will run through a wall for that man. And they played like that last year. I think this is the best start they've had to a season since like 1956. They're a complete team. Do you want to know what a complete football team looks like? Go look at the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are the closest that we have to a 100% complete team in the NFL right now. I said what I said. It is what it is. All right? I don't care. That's what it is. Moving on to the next part of the show. Blitz yet is the NBA. The NBA is now getting into its swing of things. The WNBA is done. Baseball is done. So now I was able to kind of really get a chance to look at some of the teams, look at where we were at with, records, how people were playing. And off the jump, 2 teams that I absolutely have to talk about because just the way they played, the ball movement, the defense on both of them was phenomenal, and that's OKC and Cleveland. The Oklahoma City Thunder and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Both currently have their teams sitting undefeated, okay? But it's the way they play. Both of them play a very similar style of basketball. They have tough defense. They're on you. They don't give you a whole lot of room to shoot. They have big guys in there, with OKC having Chet, and then Cleveland has guys that just can move around. So when I'm looking at Cleveland, right, I'm looking at guys obviously like Mitchell, Mitchell balling like the superstar that he is for Cleveland. And I think he's played really, really well since he's gotten to Cleveland. Okay. Averaging 24 points, 4 assists, and shooting at a 50% clip. I don't think people realize how difficult that is in the NBA to shoot at a 50% clip or higher. But Mitchell has just been killing it. Jaren Allen, like I said, big man, doing their thing. He's averaging a double-double, okay? A double-double, just so for ones that don't know, means he's got 2 of his stats in double digits. His points and rebounds, I think he's averaging 14 points a game, but he's averaging almost 12 rebounds a game. And he is just killing it on the glass. And to be undefeated and to play teams the way they want to play them, that's what they need. And then Darius Garland was a guy that they drafted last year. Didn't really show, he showed signs of what he could be last year, but this year is really starting to come into his own. He's averaging 17 points and 6 assists right now. And when you add that with Donovan Mitchell and you add that with Jared Allen and the way that they play defense, that is going to be a team that is going to be hard to beat. Now, they got to stay healthy. Mitchell's had some injury issues previously, so we'll see where that happens or where that goes. Hopefully they stay healthy because that's just going to make the East even more insane with, Miami always kind of pulling it together towards the end of the year. Boston obviously being Boston. So it'll be fun to watch. Now, I don't know what's going on with Milwaukee, talking about the East. Milwaukee is just, maybe it's time to blow it up. They've only got 1 win so far. Yeah, maybe it's time for them to try to figure something else out. But when you go to the West and you look at OKC and you look at what SGA is doing with 26 rebounds or 26 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and getting it done on the defensive side too, and he had a phenomenal year last year. He's just picking up right where he left off. And Chet is doing the same thing. People had concerns with him when he came into the league, and I'm not really sure why. Similar to, there was a lot of the similar conversation with Zach Edey going to Memphis from Purdue, talking about their body frame, didn't have a whole lot of muscle. Chet got a little bigger, and he's not doing nothing but averaging a double-double as well, 18 points, 10 rebounds, shooting at 54%, and those two leading the team. And I mean, it's wild when you look at two teams that not too long ago were at the bottom of the barrel. OKC and Cleveland, not but 2 or 3 years ago, were two teams that were looked at the bottom of their conferences, can't get wins done. Nobody wants to play there. And now they're in first place in their conferences and their divisions, and they're undefeated. So it just goes to show you what a couple of players, like young players, can do when you believe in them. When Donovan Mitchell came over, they believed in him. Okay? Drafting Chet for OKC was massive. SGA was massive. These are all teams, these are all front offices that have put together teams prior. A lot of people tend to forget you did have Harden and Westbrook and KD and Serge Ibaka in OKC. They put that team together. Cleveland has always tried to put teams together, whether it was with Kyrie, whether it was with LeBron. They've always done a decent job of trying to put a team together, and now they're doing this. And Darius Garland is just phenomenal. If you haven't watched him play, you go watch him. He's smooth with the ball. He's decisive. He's a lot of fun to watch. Like I said before, Milwaukee is not a lot of fun to watch. And Denver, surprisingly, is struggling too. And I believe Murray just went out with an injury. So it's weird to see those two teams that, were coming into the year with such high hopes really kind of start to stumble at the beginning of the year. And with Milwaukee, are we talking about blowing it up? Is Milwaukee potentially, there's no reports on this or anything. I'm just saying, could they potentially be looking to trade, the Greek Freak? Could he be moving to get draft capital? I don't know. I know they got to do something, and Denver needs to do something, especially with the loss of Murray. I think that's going to hurt them. But we're going to see, guys. And as we get into the NBA season and we really start to see the games play out, we really start to see these teams figure it out. LA is playing, the Lakers are playing really good basketball. We're still waiting for Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, so there's a lot of guys that we're still waiting to find out. And if you're a reporter, right, maybe don't mention people's family like somebody did with Embiid, because that didn't end well for that reporter. So maybe don't do that. Like maybe everybody should remember that these athletes, like the Jason Kelsey story earlier, Embiid shoving a reporter because he decided to talk about his late brother and things like that. Maybe y'all should learn that these are people, and they're very big people. And I don't think that y'all realize that a lot of them will smack the hell out of y'all. So, yeah, maybe we should do better there. But with that being said, it is that time of the show for a crazy story, but I don't have a crazy story for y'all this week. But I'm going to give y'all the segue, though. That way y'all can buckle up for what I'm getting ready to tell y'all. Ain't no way. Ain't no way we're going to do something a little different this week, okay? Y'all, the election is tomorrow, okay? And it is important that y'all remember that we are all Americans, okay? We are all people floating on this rock in space in an infinity together, okay? Y'all need to please keep in mind that if your person does not win, it is not the end of the world, okay? I know that exactly. We know that these propaganda commercials and the crazy rhetoric on the left and the right will tell you that if Trump wins, it's going to be hell and, you know, the economy's going to fall and this and that. Or if Kamala wins, that, you know, nothing's going to get fixed because she's been in office for 4 years. Guys, we're all here together, okay? Please be respectful, be mindful. You all have the right to vote for who you want to. You all have the right as an American to do that, okay? That is why I joined the military, to fight for people's right to vote, for people's right to have an opinion. But just because you have an opinion doesn't make you right. And just because you're offended doesn't make you right, okay? Please be peaceful at the polls tomorrow. Don't bring weapons. Don't do stupid stuff. And if your person loses, it's okay. Please, y'all, I beg y'all. You know, take this opportunity to show the outside world why they say America is the greatest country in the world. Because even in defeat, we can do things the right way. I like that. I like that. I just want y'all, I want y'all to be mindful and peaceful. Please spread love and positivity, not hate. If you want the change, if you want the world to change, we change the world, okay? Remember, we want to make a place better than we left. We want to make the place better than it was when we got here. We can't do that separated, all right? That's how I feel about that. My man, Lou, you got anything on that one, man?
Man, listen. This country is incredible. And if we don't stick together, it will crumble. So no matter what happens tomorrow, remember, we're all Americans.
I like it. I like it, my man.
Killed it.
Okay, we come from two completely different backgrounds.
This happens. This only happens in America. Only in America.
Only in America. But y'all, that is ain't no way. I loved it. I love it. So with that being there, y'all, you know what the next one is. We fitting get into this quick hitters. I'm going to hit y'all with a few scores, let y'all know what's up on a few other things that happened in the NFL. Bada bing, bong, boom. I like it. Listen, so first up, we got the Falcons that beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys team is done. Okay, they're in trouble. They're going to lose Prescott for a couple of weeks with a hamstring injury. You got CeeDee Lamb that's got a shoulder injury. It's going to be a pain management. We're going to see what happens there. But the Falcons beat the Cowboys again. Mainstream media, stop talking about the damn Cowboys. Bills need a 61-yard field goal to take down Miami. Miami's one of them teams always give Bills issues, okay? But Bills get it done. Beautiful 61-yarder to win the game. Raiders might need to just blow everything up. Okay, Raiders might need to just trade away. You know, the trade deadline is tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern. If I'm the Raiders, I'm selling. I'm trading Max Crosby. I'm trading everybody. Okay, and just see what kind of draft capital you can get, because Cincinnati beat the bricks off of y'all. Y'all lost 41-24. Okay, it's time to figure something else out. Browns looking like the Browns. Drop the game 27-10 to the Chargers. I don't know. I tried to do y'all good last week, and then you come back and do this nonsense. Panthers getting a win. Look at the Panthers getting a division win against the Saints. Good for them. Hey, Saints, you did get a W. You fired Dennis Allen. You fired your coach. Special teams coach Rizar is going to take over duties as the interim head coach. That's not going to fix your problems, but it's a good start because Dennis Allen wasn't it. Okay. Baltimore gets a big 31-point win, okay, over Denver. But, hey, King Henry, stand up, my man. He got his 100th career touchdown. He is on pace to go over 2,000 yards this season. If he goes over 2,000 yards, okay, one, I'm going to say it again. I said it when he rushed for 2,000 yards in 2020 that he should have been the MVP, okay? It is so incredibly hard to do that, and if he does it, he will be the first and only player to rush for 2,000 yards in 2 different seasons. Y'all better stand up. King Henry is the best running back in NFL history. I said what I said. Now, hey, this right here, we got a clip for this one. The Eagles game, okay, they beat the Jags 28-23. But, yo, if y'all have not seen what Saquon Barkley did, this is ridiculous. This is stupid for an NFL player or a player to be able to do this. Spin move, and Yo,
that was hot.
Barkley over here
that was
jumping
fire.
over people backwards.
Wow. Oh, that was hard. That was hard. Yeah.
That's crazy.
He just went.
Crazy. Yo,
they got it.
crazy.
Yeah, that was
This
was
is
smooth.
look at this. Look, and wham. How you jump
got
over somebody
smacked after, though.
backwards?
He got
Like-
whopped after though.
Yeah, he
was-
got stuck after.
That was tight.
But I mean, look, gotta show that one. Absolutely. All right. Cardinals handle Bears 29-9. I actually called for the Bears to win this game, and they let me down. But, it's okay. Rams get TD and OT to beat Seahawks. Matt Stafford went out there and does what Matt Stafford does. Don't look now, but the Rams are on the rise. They got their players back. People are starting to get healthy. That defense is really starting to get after people, and Matt Stafford is doing his thing. And then you got the Vikings back in the win column, beating the Colts 21-13. Not really a surprise there. I know Joe Flacco's had some good games, but, Minnesota's just a really good football team. And that is it for your quick hitters this week. All right, y'all. Here's that end of the night, end of the show, where I give you easies. Take them, baby. So we did not do so well last week. It's okay. That's it. So
them take-ems ain't do too hot.
I wasn't have taken them. So we went 0 for 3. We hit the 0 for. Okay.
It's all good, man. That happens, man. You can't win them all.
You can't
bruh.
win them all, right? If we won them all, me and you would be sitting on the beach somewhere,
Yeah,
millionaires, because we win them all.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and I like to give people little ones that they could do and try to make some money off of it. I don't want to give you obvious wins. So I got 3 for y'all again this week, okay? We're staying all the way in college football. College football, I feel, gives me the best ones. I like the lines in college football. Off the jump, we're sticking with the Army, baby. We're going Army -5, okay? Army -5. And then the other 2 are 2 games that we actually talked about with our college expert earlier. I got Vanderbilt plus 3.5. So you're going to take Vandy plus 3.5. Okay. And then the last one I got for y'all, I picked Ole Miss. I said I think Ole Miss is going to win the game. Give me Ole Miss plus 2.5. Okay. Those one, I'm confident in these 3. All right. Hopefully I do better for y'all than 0 for 3 like I did last week. But hey, we gonna see what happens. Okay. That is Easy's take-ems for this week, y'all. So I want y'all to know that I appreciate and love all of the support that y'all have given so far. Okay. But what we need y'all to do is go and like, share, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Right there. There it is right there, y'all. Hey, everywhere. You can check us anywhere you get your podcast. Follow us on or subscribe to us on YouTube. Interact with us. Talk to us. We'll talk back. Okay? You got something you want us to talk about? You got a team that you want to hear about? Let us know. All right? But listen, we appreciate and love all of y'all. Thank y'all so much. Till next week.
Peace.